Hello, everybody, and welcome to Chicago Reacts. My name is Kelsey. I am an actor and voice actor living in Chicago, and today I will be reacting to the dark reality of You Are the Millionth Visitor by NationSquid. We all know and love to hate the congratulations, you're the millionth Congratulations, you are the millionth visitor to our website. Click here to claim your prize. It happens so much. And I didn't know there was a dark reality, but I'm going to be educated on it today. So there you go. And this was suggested by Panzer Grenadier Tempura. That is a wild username. Thank you for the suggestion. Before we get started, though, I wanted to remind you all that we have a Twitch channel. It is Chicago_plays. We're on it 4 days a week. So let me read you the schedule real quick. So we've got Kira on Fridays at 6:30 p.m. CST, Kit on Saturdays at 1 p.m. CST, Michael and Zach Mondays at 12 p.m. CST, and myself Tuesdays at 12 p.m. CST. So come join us. We play a lot of fun stuff, and it's a good time. We'll see you there, maybe. Cool.
There was probably a time in your life where you felt really special, where you felt like just the luckiest person in the entire world. What were the odds that this would happen to you?
Retro visuals
in that moment in time, you were exactly where you needed to be.
Congratulations, you won.
But then the more cynical part of you starts creeping at the back of your mind. If it sounds too good to be true, then it probably is. Maybe you aren't actually the 1 millionth visitor, and perhaps you should get out before it's too late. The rapid growth of the internet in the 2000s.
I want to know how many of you saw that or didn't. How many of you have never seen something like this? Or how many of you saw that as like a child and believed it? And how many of you saw that as a child and were like, that's a scam? Because personally, I never once believed it. I was like, I don't trust this. I'm getting out of here.
Naturally led to the growth of internet scams, which was facilitated even further by the continuous advancement of online technology. And just like that, people across the world visiting a variety of websites were getting this same message from this same voice, telling them that they were the website's 1 millionth visitor and to click here to claim their prize. Congratulations, you won. But as we all know, there was never a prize on the other side, just an open invitation to downloading tons of malware to your computer. It seems like such a painstakingly obvious scam when looking at it at face value, yet so many people fell for it and continue to fall for it even today. How? This is one of the few pieces of malware that you could safely say is universally recognized. Everyone has come across it or seen it at least once in some way, shape, or form. But what are the pop-up's origins? Who created
vibrating
it?
Or like
and why?
Confetti gifs.
One of the big reasons that pop-up malware spreads so rapidly is because people just don't think to protect themselves when they're online. Well, thankfully, private internet access is there to help you increase your digital privacy. Private internet access is the most transparent VPN provider you can find on the market.
Not
only is their software completely open source, they never record or log any user data, ensuring that you get the online privacy that you deserve and protecting you from ISP throttling or government censorship. It also works with most streaming services, so you can watch shows or movies from outside your country, and it is one of the few VPN services that fully supports P2P file sharing and torrenting. Private internet access also provides incredible security by changing your IP address and rerouting your internet traffic through an encrypted tunnel, giving you more anonymity and protecting you from possible hackers if you're on an unreliable reliable network, they are also the most customizable VPN on the market, allowing you to truly make the VPN experience your very own. I have been using private internet access for years now, and I can confidently say that they have been fantastic on protecting my presence online. Private internet access has truly kept their word and garnered over 30 million downloads in over a decade of VPN expertise, and now you can experience it yourself at a discounted price. By visiting privateinternetaccess.com/NationSquid, you can get 83% off your subscription. That's $2 a month, and 4 extra months completely free.
That is a big
So
discount.
get started on a better,
Legit.
much safer internet experience with private internet access. Now, discovering the origins of the millionth visitor pop-up ads is going to be quite difficult, but not for the reason that you think. The question isn't really where did it come from, it's where did it truly come from?
Yeah.
Now, there is a repeating pattern between malware like this and ones like You Are an Idiot and Goggle.com. They all share one thing in common. Both their creators and their very first appearances are unknown. But there is something very special about Millionth Visitor, something that makes it stand out among the others. Millionth Visitor continues to carry on, creating multiple variants of itself that actually adapt with the internet's ever-growing technology.
Oh, yeah.
Whereas the others are more or less frozen in time. It's quite scary. The malware was able to spread so rapidly, garner so many new malware developers to come in and create their own versions of it. Finding the center force, the patient zero of the millionth visitor pop-up, is now like trying to find a needle in a haystack.
Truly, some of these malware pop-ups are look like these, but I've seen some in recent memory that I don't know if it's a pop-up, but I was like, is it a pop-up if it opens a new tab? Yes. I think so. But some of them, I'll be on a website for let's say Audacity, for sound editing. And I'll be, because it's free, they have ads on the website. And so I'll click they'll just they'll use ad space on a website to put a download button where you would, in the ad space where you would think the download button for the site is, and they'll make it match the site's color scheme and font scheme and layout. So when you click it, it pops you up and pops you out to a new tab that takes you somewhere to download something. Usually it's not in my experience, it's just been try our new service, blah, blah, blah. And it's it's not immediately malware. It's just scammy. But it's come so far from just this. It's now people are, whether it's malware or just a scam or malware hidden under a scam, here, important message, click this, and then it does stuff. It's advanced so much from this. People are so clever with it. And there's so much of it that truly, how do you get to the bottom of it?
We see them everywhere.
And I'm sure too, different people just take the designs, fully steal the designs of another one of these pop-up windows and use it as their own. So which is the original?
Everywhere, but don't truly know where they are coming from, hidden in plain sight. But of course, everything starts somewhere, some point in time. The millionth visitor pop-ups in their earliest form date as far back as the mid-1990s, during a time where online technology was primitive and people's understanding of the World Wide Web was very little to non-existent. The story indirectly behind the creation process of the virus actually has a bit of an ironic twist to it. It all begins with Ethan Zuckerman, an employee for a web page hosting site called Tripod.com. During this time, the company was in financial dire. They needed to come up with a way to create a stable source of income without needing to completely overhaul their business strategy. Well, it wouldn't take long for a solution to inadvertently present itself. The hosting service would end up getting reports from advertisers who complained that their ads were being hosted on pages containing adult content without their consent.
Ooh.
To prevent this from ever happening again, Ethan came up with the ingenious idea of displaying the ad as its own separate window. That way there was no affiliation with the website the user was visiting. But this had a huge advantage Tripod hadn't noticed before. Now that these ads were no longer attached to the webpage, they could now host as many as they wanted to, without taking up webpage space, which meant more revenue. Ethan had just invented the pop-up ad, having no idea what kind of harm it could be used for until it was too late. No one recognized the ingenuity of this new idea more than malware developers, who would soon become the vast majority of people who actually use the technology. Ethan would regret creating such a thing, and has since become an internet activist, who would like to put an end to his creation once and for all. Ethan really shouldn't feel all that bad, however, especially when taking into account the direction that the internet in the 90s was heading in. If Ethan hadn't created the pop-up ad, someone else would have. And that's because of another invention that had just surfaced: JavaScript. In many respects, JavaScript reinvented the new wheel for online computing. Along with HTML and CSS, it was a language that allowed the developer to do virtually anything they want, with their only limits being outside the computer screen. This neat invention coincided with the invention of Adobe Flash in November 1996. So not only could a program you created behave in the way you wanted, but you could also use visuals and sounds to give it its own personality. Naturally, the Millionth Visitor malware would be conceived through the pop-up ad using its brilliant engineering. But how could people fall for such a thing? Surely people knew better and understood that a grand prize was not on the other side.
Back then,
well,
apparently.
Not exactly. And don't call me Shirley. It wasn't that people were more gullible back then, but rather were more uncertain what kind of form the internet was going to take. The internet was growing rapidly.
I hadn't even thought about that.
To the point where the lines between the legit and the dishonest was sometimes blurred.
Right. And like a lot of like older internet, like the look of the older internet like this, like to us now, that looks super like archaic, and I would associate that look with something that's not legitimate. And I'm sure at the time people were creating these like malware pop-ups to match like the style and layout of the internet at the time, and it was confusing. Like the problem I had with clicking, like not paying attention and clicking the first download button I saw with Audacity. Like but nowadays I think like a lot of scams look old to us. And it's like the ones that look like they fit within the internet as we know it that catch us more off guard. Like we still know what to look for, but if you're not paying attention, hello. Yeah. That's interesting to think like that style wasn't old back then. It's just what the internet looked like, and people saying knew less what to expect.
This was an era where having a talking purple gorilla on your computer screen was fashionable. The world just didn't know.
Sorry, I keep pausing, but when I was like, we had like a huge chunky white home desktop computer and I was little, I had like a Bonzi Buddy, except it was like a bunch of characters from Finding Nemo, and they did like different animations and did like different, like said different things. It was fun.
Any better. Not to mention that a very easy target would be impressionable children who may not understand the concept of a scam and fall into the trap. Let me know if you trusted it or not. I actually almost fell for one of these pop-ups myself when I was a child, but thankfully an adult intervened. But that's all that a pop-up like the Millionth Visitor really needed. It preyed on the gullible as well as the ignorant, and in this way was somewhat ahead of its time. And it could be further argued that the pop-up ad's aura of mystique and uncertainty helped it in the long term.
This is not a joke.
People did not know or maybe even cared where the ads were coming from, and therefore could not really make the best judgment in the moment the ad presented itself.
Congratulations, you won!
Was this soundbite even created for these pop-ups?
Yeah.
Or was it taken from something else entirely?
I hadn't even thought of that. That's fascinating.
To this very day, we still don't know whose voice that is. For all we know, the person in question could be watching this video right now. Neither do we know how long ago the recording was made, who created the ad's artwork, who developed the code for the pop-up ad itself. There are more questions than there are answers, which is why people did not know what to do, and why immediate action was not taken to stopping the ads. But what did these ads actually do that was so damaging? Well, it isn't exactly difficult to figure out. The user on the other end would interact with the ad thinking that they won a prize, only for tons of malware and viruses to be surreptitiously downloaded to their computer. But it goes much deeper than that. You see, despite the pop-up's visuals and sound being the same, there were multiple variants of the malware that all did different things. One version, and from some reports likely the very first version, would redirect the user that clicked on the ad to a very strange website, such as freelotto.com. Now there's something very interesting about this detail, and it actually may give us a possible lead to where the pop-ups came from. Free Lotto was exactly how it sounds. Gosh. It promoted itself as—
Look at that crowd of people from very different photographs all photoshopped together into one oval. That is wild.
As a free online lottery, anyone could enter with the chance of winning money or a prize. The company dates as far back as the late 1990s, and while it advertised itself in this light, it was legally considered a sweepstakes. The website no longer exists, so a lot of the information on the site's history is either non-existent or just conflicting. There are a handful of people online who claim that the site was not a scam and that they had—
I actually won $25,000 on freelotto.com. The people at my bank tried to tell me it was a scam, but when I deposited the check, they had to think again. What? Send me my winning notification through U.S. mail. What on earth? Strange. I wonder, though, if different versions of the pop-up took you to the original, maybe legitimate site, and if some of them, like, were just copies that were malware. That is— I don't know how I feel about that.
Friends who won from it. Reports from the Better Business Bureau claim that people entered the sweepstakes, won their prize, but then were just ghosted. They never received anything. But what's even stranger is that even out—
One of those emails was from 2021. Didn't realize this was still out there.
Outside of these pop-ups, numerous users claimed to have gotten emails and text messages from Free Lotto containing a very similarly formatted message telling them that they won a prize. With a lot of these messages containing weird misspellings, you would think the website is an obvious scam, maybe a very elaborate one. But it gets even weirder. I looked at the freelotto.com website through the Wayback Machine, and one webpage may have just cracked everything wide open. Although it is weird that a 2015 snapshot of the website shows recent winners that were also recent winners in 2006, these winners are real. In fact, there are articles about these winners showing photos of them with their prize. So what does this all mean? This strange information clearly leads to—
that one person even got a big comically big check? What is happening?
Answer. And since we can only work with past documentation, nothing can be confirmed. But I believe that there are three possibilities for freelotto.com's relationship with the millionth visitor pop-ups. The first possibility is that the website was a scam, but operated in a way where it could still have legitimate winners. A good example of this would be a Ponzi scheme. Some of the victims of Ponzi schemes actually end up making lots of money. It's just that most of the people end up getting screwed over. But that doesn't make the Ponzi scheme any less fraudulent. The second possibility is the pop-up ads were using Free Lotto's brand and likeness without their permission. Nothing is stopping a malware developer who has no regard for the law from creating a phishing website of Free Lotto to collect user information or even their money. Or maybe, just maybe,
they have a copyright?
Some of these pop-ups were
copyright thing.
Legit. Maybe there actually was a 1 millionth visitor at some point in time. What if that was you?
No.
Remember that?
No, guaranteed they like developed that to be like literally only to draw people to their site. It had nothing to do with if those things are connected. My theory is that they just developed those ads to make people curious and draw them into their site. And perhaps the original was legit. Perhaps it was a Ponzi scheme. But also, I think obviously there had to be copies of the site that were total scams and or malware. That is
At one time you got this pop-up 10
insidious.
years ago and you just dismissed it. What if it was real and you just lost $1 million that you can never get back because you could not trust your judgment? Can you really blame yourself though? So many things online seem suspicious when they're legit and legit when they're suspicious. Even with this possibility, it did not stop different scam versions from continuing to spread. Now there were versions that asked you survey questions, likely to collect your information for advertisers, obtain your full name and credit card information, or even just to flat out waste your time. For some of them, even after you answered all the surveys.
I was thinking, why is wasting your time valuable? Well, if it brings you to their website, they're getting website traffic.
Survey questions, you were required to download certain programs to qualify for the prize.
Of course.
And of course, some of these versions may just skip those steps entirely and just get to downloading the programs right away, acting quite similarly to a drive-by download since the user did not exactly consent. With JavaScript and Adobe Flash becoming more prevalent and eventually peaking throughout the 2000s, and the fact that many people still weren't sure where the internet was going, the millionth visitor pop-ups had so much in their favor to grow rapidly. More people meant more people to fool, and the pop-ups themselves would become a part of online culture. People were now making remixes of the audio on YouTube.
2011 memes.
Congratulations, you won.
I remember this.
Mom!
And by 2012, Millionth Visitor would become the most popular online scam. But then something would happen that you are most likely already familiar with. The slow, gradual obsolescence of Adobe Flash. Most websites moved on from supporting Flash, and it would lose support completely in 2020, the technology itself becoming extinct. Naturally, these ads would take a big hit from this gradual shift and become less prevalent throughout the 2010s. Was it the end of the millionth visitor pop-ups? Well, not exactly.
They will always find a way.
Unlike other malware that seemed to die with the technology of the past, malware developers everywhere have preserved Millionth Visitor, making versions that change with the times, moving from Adobe Flash to HTML5 or some other more recent technology. So now a whole new generation can fall trap into becoming the 1 millionth visitor. With no end currently in sight, the best option left is to do our job in being a civilized online community, to minimize the damage of such a program, to provide the necessary tools to remedy such an online attack if one falls prey to it. And the best way to do that is to spread the word. But what if we actually put these pop-ups to the test? Well, let's find out. Now, it is important to keep in mind that unlike the other viruses we've showcased in the past, this is one that is much more subtle. You're not going to see a whole lot of craziness on the screen in this video. These pop-ups are very simple, but arguably twice as damaging. Just like lots of other malware, these are a wolf in sheep's clothing. So as always, don't be fooled by what you're about to see. Don't try this at home. With that said,
I love this demonstration. This is fun.
I'm going to be doing a more contemporary example. As we discussed, there are several variants of this malware. Some look different from others or even function different from others, but they more or less all have the same message. You just won a grand prize. Thankfully, I caught one in the wild that I can now showcase for all of you. $1 million. Incredible. Let's give it a click. When I say that this is simple, I mean that it's simple.
So simple.
This is pretty much it. You type in your credit card number and personal information, and then it gets sent off to somebody who can do whatever they want with it. Any sensical person would stop here, click off, and do an antivirus scan on their computer.
Yeah.
But we're talking about sensical people, so I'm going to go ahead and type in my information.
Nuh-uh.
All right, here we go. Let's go ahead and submit. And then it just hangs forever. Now the person or people on the other end have my information, and now they can go on an online shopping spree with my info. In fact, I'm just going to show you how ridiculous this all is and open up my bank account balance. As you can see, there's nothing there, and I'm going to go ahead and refresh it so that I can show you once again. Mom! Mom! Thanks again to private internet access for
That's fun. Wow. That was fun. I'd never really thought about that. I was just like, oh, yep, there's one of those again. They're back. But, you know, I never stopped to wonder where they came from. That's very interesting. I think the thing that I am most, like, blown away by is that freelotto.com actually existed and people won actual money. Like, it seems like there's not much more information to be gleaned, but I want to know the story behind that. Who knows? Maybe in a couple years we will, like Vice will come out with a documentary. You know they would do that. They would come out with a documentary interviewing everybody behind it and give us the full story. But until then, this was really entertaining. So thank you, Panzer Grenadier Tempura, for suggesting this, and thank you all for joining me. If you like this video, be sure to like it and subscribe to our channel for more content like this, and I'll see you next time.